Okay, now it's time that we actually get in and start learning and interpreting the information for the current time period. So this is the Tenkan and the Kijun lines. So let's do a quick refresher of the signals, and then we're going to get over and start doing some historical trading and interpreting the data here. So here's the way we're going to do it. Remember, if the price action is above the Tenkan and the Kijun, it's bullish. If we're below the Tenkan and Kijun, it's bearish. If both Tenkan and Kijun are up, then it's bullish. If Tenkan and Kijun are both down, it is bearish. If the Tenkan and the Kijun are converging, meaning the lines are coming together, then we've got a short-term consolidation. If the Tenkan and Kijun are crossing, it's a buy or a sell signal. And remember that the Tenkan represents 9-day support and resistance, and the Kijun represents 26-day support and resistance. So these are our key signals. Let's get over to the charting software, go back in time, and actually go trade some of this and start to interpret that information.
We're going to do the exact same thing we just did. Go back to December. But I'm going to let this one play out. Instead of me moving it forward every day, I'm going to let it play, and we're just going to talk about it because these signals are, number one, more familiar to you, and number two, they're not as much day-to-day, and if I need to stop it along the way, I will. So all we're looking at now is Kijun and Tenkan signals. So obviously, moving into this, we're very bearish. Now notice how much closer this is. I mean, this is day-to-day now. And then we broke bullish above it here, and the Tenkan, it snugs right up in next to that price action. The Kijun gives us some cushion, so that could be our stop signal as we move forward. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play this one forward and let it go. Hopefully it will catch up fast enough in the webinar. And as we move this thing forward here, if we get some signals that are worth talking about, I'll stop. But for the most part, we're below the lines, and we're in a bearish trend. You see that? Below the lines, bearish trend. Don't even worry about candlesticks right now. We're below the lines, bearish trend, bearish trend. Let me stop it here. I want to show you something. Notice that while we went sideways, what happened to Kijun? It went sideways. When you start getting Kijun going sideways, you've got some sort of a sideways or consolidation type of a movement. It could be a flag, it could be a stair step, or it may be an actual reversal is impending. So when you start to see Kijun moving sideways, that's when I think you need to start concerning yourself with tightening your stops. It would be nice if we could just simply tighten it to the Tenkan, but my experience tells me that if we blindly do that, it's too tight. And so we're going to look at some possible ways. I don't know that I've got a perfect way to do this, but we're going to look at some possible ways that we can tighten stops based on that signal right there. That's one of my favorite signals that I have with these two lines here. All right, let's keep going here. Flat data, the lines start to go down, but boom, look at that, starting to come back up. Now we're stuck, Karen. So now, Karen, see what's happened here. Kijun and Tenkan are converging. When that's happening, you know that something's reversing here. Either we're going to sideways market or we're about to actually reverse direction. So I bet pretty soon here we're going to have that cross. There it is. There's the cross. Isn't it funny? I just did this with a cloud, and I cannot remember for the life of me what the data did. I think that's comical. Anyway, so here we are starting to get the crossover here. And as we start to play this data forward, there's your shooting star. Now we're above the lines. Now we're back and forth, and boom, there's your typical moving average problem when we get stuck. And now that I'm seeing this, I'm remembering. Remember, this is where that 3 consolidation was. We're back and forth, back and forth. And look what's happening here. Finally, we're starting to break out. So you're seeing moving average type data, but it looks a little different. And again, my favorite thing about this is the flat Kijun line, because it shows me that there's a lack of momentum moving forward, that something's kind of sideways. So this looks a little stair-step-like. You see how it's kind of stair-stepping? We're still above it. We're still bullish, but it's kind of stair-stepping along the way. There's a big break there. No crosses until right there. Now we're starting to cross. Now we're getting into consolidation. And we know we're getting into consolidation because both of the lines are getting up into the price action. Now, let's see where we go from here. We broke out bullish. Let's see where we move forward to from here. There's a kind of a shooting star, long upper shadow. Bullishness continues, so the consolidation broke into some additional bullishness. Pretty good trend there. Now look at this. We're getting back into the Tenkan line. Kijun has gone flat. Now, when Kijun goes flat like that, you need to pay attention because the chances of consolidation coming in are going up. And so now we're making a higher high, and I'm thinking most likely this is where that head and shoulders came in. So you can see how the Kijun and the Tenkan are shaping up with that head and shoulders. Now, look, this is perfect right here. Stop it. You've heard me say this in Power Traders. When you get a head and shoulders, your moving averages will cross on the right shoulder, not on the left shoulder. So oftentimes we can anticipate these and we can say, hey, there's a head and shoulders coming, but people are saying, well, can I trade bearish yet? Well, there's no confirmation. Here we're starting to get that confirmation. Kijun and Tenkan are starting to cross, and it's happening on the right shoulder. Make sense? So that's just something that in real-time back testing is valuable to point out to you there. All right, so here we go. There's the crossover right there. There's our right shoulder forming up. Of course, we know this because we just did it with the cloud, and we're starting to get that resistance. Let me see if I can pause this here. Notice what's happening. There's your flat Kijun line. Kijun creating that support. And if you look back through here, a lot of these areas where Kijun was flat, we ended up with some support in there. Okay, let's keep moving this thing forward, and we're going to haul through this thing here. There's your bearish signals as we start to break bearish, and pretty soon we bounced out here. Kijun starts to go flat. You see that? Notice where Kijun went flat. Kijun went flat at that pivot area right there. So now we've got two pivot areas that Kijun has gone flat in, and as we just traded through this a few minutes ago, we know that this is where the support and resistance shaped up on this trade. Okay, so we happen to know this because we just traded through it, and now we can see that's all shaping up right there. Okay, so we're getting some really powerful signals from these lines. There was our bearish breakdown that head faked us on the cloud. But on the Kijun lines, yeah, it was a little bit head fake there on the Kijun and Tenkan lines as well. Now we're kind of getting some more internal turning areas. And that, now that we see it with the Tenkan and Kijun, you see why there was so much chippy-choppy in here. There was a lot of support and resistance happening. It wasn't all revealed with the cloud, but it was all being revealed here with the Tenkan and the Kijun line. So we're very much in a choppy sideways market, and had we had all the signals on here, it would have been a lot easier to see that consolidation was here, and we would not have been as easily head faked with the cloud. All right, so let's let this thing play out. We're almost done here, and we'll let it play on out through here so that we can see how it shaped up. That's how it all looked in the consolidation. Let me pause here because I think this was about where the trend came back. Notice what happened here. There was our consolidation top. We had our main bottom here. We had the internal turning point. Now, if you guys have been through enough of my FOSO classes, you've heard me talk about these internal pivot areas. Look at how Kijun was giving us that internal pivot line. I think that is stunning. I mean, that is just stunning. In terms of a signal that we didn't have to sit here and draw. That is an excellent, excellent signal that we got there. Okay? And then what we're doing is you're also seeing that the price action is just chopping right through all the moving average action, just like we would normally say with moving averages. When you have that happening, we got a sideways move. We've got to step back and get a bigger trend picture and wait for a new trend to develop. So we know, because we just traded this, we know that that trend is coming right here in just a minute. Somewhere in September and October. And boom, there it is. There's your breakdown. Both of these lines, it happened so fast that Kijun and Tenkan ran together. Look at that. I mean, this thing just tumbled. And as it tumbled through here, let's watch what happens. Boom. Boom. Stop right here. Remember the first signal that I called out with a candle? There was your hammer. Now look at what Kijun was doing. Kijun started right there saying, stop. This is where consolidation might be picking up. These are great signals, guys. I mean, if you've ever wondered, how can I know that a trend's starting to slow down? How can I know when things are starting to maybe end? This is a great signal. This is one where I would definitely put your stop all the way down here on the Tenkan. If not, completely down here and just take your profit on the trade. All right, let's keep moving it forward. We happen to know that for about the next month, we traded sideways here. We made one lower low, and then we got into that big consolidation because the clouds helped us out to forecast that. And I'll leave this running to the end so you can see how the whole picture ended up shaping out. Kijun continued to stair step down. Then we got into the consolidation. And again, Kijun and Tenkan look very choppy because we were in that about 6-week consolidation period before the big breakout coming into the end of November. So we'll let that run through there. You can see this. There was the big breakup. There was that big old candle that broke back down. And, of course, that ultimately triggered the next wave of bearish selling that came in here. Right about here. There was the crossover, and boom, we're below everything. And there's the bearishness, and then we went down to a whole nother level. And you can see it all shaping out there. Okay, while that's wrapping up, how many of you just learned a heck of a lot watching those signals? That is a really, really good exercise. Now, you can do it in the speed mode that I just did it. I did that in the interest of time. But you can also just go candle by candle, and this is going to be your homework, by the way. So you can decide how fast you want to go through it. I would encourage you not to try to pick the buying and the selling signals. Right now, what I would be really happy for you to come back next week with is just having looked at a lot of these and seeing that data. Because as you see that data, and then later we come back and we start to blend everything, this process of breaking the data out and interpreting it is really, really powerful because that's kind of loading your brain up so you can see the stuff as we start to move forward.